Hey there kids, it's me, MrCreepyPasta, and I'm going to be telling you about another sponsor tonight, which I'm pretty sure all of you guys are pretty familiar with. I got another episode lined up for you tonight that I think you all are going to enjoy, so sit tight through tonight's sponsor. It's only going to take a few minutes, and then we'll get on to tonight's story. Tonight's sponsor is once again everyone's favorite, and especially mine, Raid Shadow Legends. Want to be the hero of your own fantasy? Enter the epic world of Teleria, where dark elves meet the Sacred Order and the Bannerlords are in an endless war with the undead hordes. Collect, equip, train, and upgrade your team of heroes in order to start a journey of a lifetime. Raid Shadow Legends will take you to the world of dark fantasy and realism. Raid is free to play and available on both mobile and PC. Personally, I play it on PC more than mobile. There's a couple different places I normally go to, which is the portal, here on the left side of the screen. Heading over there and checking out my daily shards that I can unlock, as well as a higher level weekly shard that you can get. You can get many of these also as rewards. And then the battle campaign is usually where I go to, with either the campaign or the boss dungeons, because the boss dungeons are where you get a lot of different upgrade parts. And let me tell you, it's really easy to get distracted with the boss dungeons, which is probably what I like most about the game, is going through here, collecting pieces and upgrading heroes and seeing how they visually change. By the time you're watching this video, the brand new Tag Team Arena should be live in game. Tag Arena is the next level of competitive PvP battles, and instead of a single 4 vs 4 battle like in Classic Arena, it's actually a series of 3 4 vs 4 battles, and it's best of 3. Whoever wins 2 battles wins the series. Basically an arena, but on hard mode. Since it's brand new, the developers will be giving out some special rewards soon to whoever manages to finish high up in the rankings. So, if you're like me and you like truly competitive PvP with some big rewards, you're gonna love Tag Arena. You can find me in the game under MrCreepyPasta, and if you're quick enough, you can join my clan, MrCreepyPasta Boys. So what are you waiting for? Click the link in the description down below, go to the video description, click that special link, and if you're a new player, you'll receive 200,000 silver, 1 free champion, the Grinner, and all your treasure will be waiting for you right there where the little hand is pointing. So good luck, and I'll see you in there. So before I start, I have to tell you that this was an accident. It was not provoked by anyone, 100%. I've seen authentic documents provided by high-grade military intelligence officers in Ukraine. They did try to cover it up, like the Soviets did back in the day. Nothing is the state's fault, and all that stuff. But when Gorbachev realized that he could not contain the disaster, he and the party decided to let the news out. And you all know the story. Some of you probably read the Nobel Prize award-winning book, The Voices of Chernobyl, by the Belarusian author. Or even saw the giant series that aired on TV, although some gruesome details were not included in the show, but I won't go into the actual disaster story. However, I would like for everyone to hold a moment of silence for all those brave men and women who lost their lives in that disaster. All that medical staff, the firefighters, scientists who were capable of containing the disaster. May 4th, 1986. And today marks 34 years since that disaster, and let's not forget it. So let me get started with today's story. I'll get back to my initiation ritual and what happened after I was made apprentice at a later state of this story. I won't tell them in chronological order because, I want you to be surprised every single time I tell you about my experiences as a Freemason. Back in 2016, the lodge that I'm still a part of received an invitation to join the meeting of our brothers in the Ukraine. Most specifically, the Pripyat Grand Lodge, which was to be held exactly on April 26, 2016. Of course, the master and the rest of us were a bit confused because we'd never been to that part of the Ukraine before, and we were a bit scared because, we might get irradiated. We might get sick. Might even become mutated. Things like that. After our usual meeting at the temple, the master called his counterpart in Ukraine to see exactly what this was about. Suffice to say that we all agreed to go because, we didn't feel obliged, but it was a sign of respect not to refuse the invitation. About a week later, we had 3 cars come pick us up at the temple, and with the trip being just a little over 17 hours, we stopped and slept the night at one of our brothers' hotels in Moldova. The next day, we were near the city of Pripyat, where we were greeted by our brothers with handshakes and triple fraternal accolades. We got acquainted, and they actually prepared a tour for us to visit the surroundings of Chernobyl, where we saw Reactor 4 and the Dougal 1. And then, We went on to have a typical Soviet lunch, like they used to have when the USSR was still a thing. Then we went to visit the ghost town, and we stopped nearby the Red Forest. We were all equipped with dosimeters and hazmat suits, of course, and while we were nearing the Red Forest, our Ukrainian brothers told us that we will go somewhere to have our meeting, and then we'll go and sleep in a secret hotel that only the Masons know about. After this, military personnel pulled in front of us and escorted us to an underground bunker near the Red Forest. We descended to the 3rd floor of the facility where we had the meeting. Our master had a speech and vice versa. After the meeting ended, we went on having our normal brotherly banquet. However, this is where things started getting strange. The food was like nothing I had ever seen before. The wine had multiple colors at the same time. There were some sautéed mushrooms that were a phosphorescent green. The meats were very tasty, even though they looked overcooked. On the inside, they were very tender. The potatoes were turquoise, the fish were very pale pink with crimson tails. And me? I was sitting there thinking, is this real food or are they joking? Are we supposed to eat the damn rainbow in here? But the most interesting thing was the tea they served at the end. The hot water, it smelled like a hot summer morning. Then changing to the smell of petrichor. Then to the freezing smell of snow. It was like all seasons were trapped in that cup of tea. We were, of course, a little bit scared to eat the food, but our brothers told us there's nothing to be worried about, as this is some ultra-rare foods only 333 people in the world know of its existence. And after we finished, the master of the Pripyat Lodge raised his glass. "Drink this final glass of wine, my brothers, and let me lead you to see the greatest secret of Chernobyl. You will now meet Lavkulaka." Then we descended to the 5th floor. It was just a cage. Inside it, there was a man. "Help me, please. They got me trapped in here." Of course, I was absolutely outraged. I whispered to my professor, "This is nonsense, Professor. Why do they torment a man like that?" And even though I whispered, the master heard me and said, "You know I speak your language, right? I know how this looks, but I assure you, shortly, something will happen that will change the way you see this man." Then he started chanting some Latin phrases, threw some liquids on the man, and then claws started growing out of the tips of his fingers. Hair covered his body. His clothes were slowly tearing apart. The man seemed to be turning into something else, something not of this world, something unholy, evil, unnatural. Soon razor-like teeth started erecting from his mouth. His eyes turned a dark shade of crimson red. His metamorphosis was complete, and the man was no longer a man, but a huge, monstrous wolf. "Mortals, one day I will escape this prison, and I will kill you. All of you. Mark my words. You had me confined for the last 400 years. Since that day when I tore apart your lands, I will escape someday. I will end this world in blood and fire." I was absolutely petrified. I stood still for the next 10 minutes or so. My teacher was as calm as they come, meaning that this was something usual for him, and I was left wondering, how many horrors are in this world? What things exist here? What darkness lives on this earth with us? The master took out another liquid, threw it on the creature, and it started shrieking, letting out sounds not of this world. And after that, it turned into the man again, and we left. Still in shock, I asked, almost crying, "What was that?"
Why don't you just kill it? The master looked disapprovingly at me and said that this was an 850-year-old werewolf. And since his capture, the Masons have been trying relentlessly to alter his mind, using certain substances, which I know nothing about, and to make more creatures like this, eventually turning them into armies for future wars. And yes, I know that we have technology now. We can make robots and whatnot, but these, they have all manner of secrets. If they kept them for long, it must be very valuable to have them. Maybe immortality. Who knows? After this, we sort of fainted. We woke up the next morning in a hotel, which didn't look like a hotel, but like an apartment building. It felt like it was constantly moving. No, I wasn't hungover. On the table in my room, I found a note saying that they wished us a great trip back home, thanking us for accepting the invitation and hoping that we can meet again, sooner rather than later. There was a bottle of that tea wrapped as a present. To this day, I've never opened it. Until next time, stay safe and take care.
Hey there kids, it's me, MrCreepyPasta, and I just wanted to say thank you so much for watching tonight's video. Or watching tonight, or listening to tonight's podcast, because it's also a podcast on Spotify, or on Apple, or on Google, or anywhere else you can listen to a podcast. On a hot summer day, there's nothing better than a glass of iced tea, and thus for, you should check out my wife's tea shop, etsy.com/shop/ivorymonocletea. You can get numerous different types of tea, including a Mr. Creepypasta tea, the Dark and Stormy Night, which, if you ask, you can get the Mr. Creepypasta dabbing sticker on the front of it. And lastly, as always, I want to remind you guys, if you ever want to support the show, you can do so at patreon.com/MrCreepyPasta. And I really appreciate any time you guys can support the show, because honestly, I love you guys. You're all awesome. So, a very special thank you to Jordan Alexander Sanchez, Haha Saha, Ken Lenda Higuchi, Mazakine, Champinski, The Red Oak Shield Virus, G Weevil 3, Diana Kraus, Stephen Van Huss, Chance Burnett, Tristan Pelton, Nico Cowell, The Ginger Bros, Last Blade Song, Caleb Dougal, Sky Harbor, The Homeless Bird 93, Bobby Karen, Liam Newman, Aaron Stormcrow, Barbara Maceo, Thomas Burgett, S-Man, Kiri the Sloth, Bad Honey, Someone You Love, Said the King 56, Shadow Morningstar, Mad Marstomp, Mr. Thud, Patrick Schoolmeister, Z. Kearley, Wolfie Nums, Rafael Rodriguez, WR Axis, Prozac and Pancakes, Mike Bullock, Acid System, Lauren, Brian Ars, and Rumble Fox. And also a huge thank you to everybody who's down there in the description down below. You guys, as always, are the real MVPs, and I appreciate you more than I can possibly say. So thank you guys, thank you all for listening, and sweet dreams.